I didn't want to be a lawyer.
What'd you want to be?
I wanted to be an actor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So when I was 18 years old, 17, 18, my dad took me to the Art Institute of Atlanta. And I told him, hey, I wanted to be an actor. Here's a couple things a lot of people don't know about me. Number one is I'm really funny. Like, just I love comedy. I love just being witty and sharp. And like, I think anytime someone makes any sort of joke or insults me, I have rapid fire speed in response time. And I learned that from my dad. You know, my dad, he always tells us these stories of how he grew up and being an immigrant in the United States, how he was mistreated. And so, you know, he would just be coming off of a shift, working somewhere else and going to an interview as an engineer who's more educated than most of the people there, especially the person that's interviewing him. And the interviewer would tell him something like, wow, man, you look really bad. You look like a garbage man. My dad would respond, yeah, I'm coming to pick you up.
Nice.
And so that wittiness is like, you had to survive by being very witty in a family of 6 in the Bible Belt in Dalton, Georgia, being a Palestinian family around a bunch of Mexicans. You got to be fast.
So now, do you think that was taught, or do you think that you are born with that?
No, I definitely think that's circumstantial.
You think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because that same wittiness is not, I don't see it in people that did not have a tough upbringing. I think my biggest advantage is growing up poor and having to learn multiple languages just to fit in. And never meeting a stranger. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't know strangers. I'm the guy that could be on a plane with 2 people. I'm sitting in the middle of the seat. By the time we land in another city, they've all already followed me on social media. We're already best friends. I'm getting invited to their wedding.
I want to be honest with you. You're my worst nightmare on a flight.
Yeah.
Because you just want to talk and talk. I have faked sleeping and passing out so I don't have to talk to the passenger next to me.
You're the guy that buys an extra ticket just so you don't have to sit next to someone.
If I had the cash, I would absolutely do that.
Well, I haven't had to do that in like 5 or 6 years because I go everywhere with my wife.
Okay.
And usually we're flying right next to each other, so I'm never talking to anyone else. And now we like to watch movies. But let me get back to the main point, which is the value of growing up in adversity. Is something that you think is a weakness, and then it becomes a strength over time.
Yes.
And so I think that being an attorney in Atlanta right now and using social media kind of as my platform, I spent a lot of time training lawyers on just the basics of social media. And now it really goes back to your main point, which is focus on your personality and just being your true, authentic self. Because there are people that will never hire you. There are people that will never work with you. There are people that are going to hate you just because of the way you look, the way you sound, where you came from, what language you speak, the way you worship. And guess what? Those are not your people. So stop focusing on those people. Focus on your tribe. And by being your true, authentic self, you're going to attract those types of people. And you'll be pleasantly surprised by how many people actually like you and actually follow you and actually want to work with you. And so that's the transition now is we've been in this ivory tower of lawyers where, they're in the big comfy suits, right? And they're in this big office space and they're super unapproachable and they do these old school types of advertisements for, hey, if you've been in a wreck, I'll fight for confrontation, right? That's not what works.
Right.
Man. There's an entire generation of lawyers, and I'm happy to be responsible for some of it, not all of it. Entire generation of lawyers that are building 7- and 8-figure businesses from their phones.
So I think our industries are similar in this way, that the older generation, you remember back, 10, 12 years ago, everybody was what we call puking in the microphone, right? There was no personality to it, like I was making fun of before, Yeah. You're talking in sound bites, and it's very fake and stale, right?
Yeah.
And now there's a whole new generation that just comes on the radio and just starts speaking from the heart and connecting. And that's exactly how we built our success also. But there are so many in our industry that haven't been able to evolve in that area, that they're so used to being superficial, or in your case, you're talking about, I know all of these lawyers you're talking about, right? It wouldn't work for me. It would absolutely not work for me. But what I'm seeing you do online absolutely will touch a new generation because it is authentic.
Well, that kind of goes back to my true authentic self. What I wanted to do was be an actor, be a comedian, have fun. I loved making people laugh. And I realized that at age 18, 19, at that time, there was no social media. There wasn't an opportunity for me to just be an influencer and be a personality. And growing up poor, I needed something that made money. So I'm also, the other second thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm a black belt in martial arts. I've been a black belt since 2004.
So you can be funny and insult people, and you can also bust their ass if they get insulted and want to like get in a fight with you. You're dangerous comedian.
Yeah, there's no nobility. There's no nobility in not being dangerous. I'm a very controlled, dangerous person. And that's mentally and physically.
I just kind of got scared a little bit.
Well, that's a good soundbite. So
I got scared just a little.
So here's the thing, and actually one of my best, most viral videos is a knockout video where, like, you know, I said, you know, people underestimate me all the time, just like this black belt that I was fighting, and I'm just sitting here chilling, and then I do a kick, knock him out, he just, you know, falls right back. That video went viral. I've been running it as an ad ever since.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So had I been born 10 years later, I probably would not have been a lawyer. I would have just been a content creator. Had I been born 10 years later, I probably would not have experienced the car audio business, because there was this boom where everyone wanted to fix up their cars. You know, you grew up in the 90s. It was common to see fixed up cars. You know, if you grew up in the South, there's always people with big rims and, like, you know, 13-inch spokes and hydraulics and speakers. That's the world that I grew up in. I memorized the book for bolt patterns. You can name any vehicle in the world right now, and I will tell you exactly how many millimeters each lug nut is apart from each other.
Come on.
You name it right now, and then verify it if you guys want. Verify it live.
That's just too much knowledge in your head.
But
you need to be on like one of these game shows.
But that's the business that I grew up in.